guys, today I have Calvin's 2-month update and my postpartum 2-month update as well. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about what baby Calvin is doing and how I'm doing and everything. So let's start off with Calvin and some stuff that he's been doing this past month. So the biggest news of the month is that we have officially weaned off of the nipple shield, and I am so happy, like unbelievably happy, and so proud of us for being able to do that, because it was kind of like a crutch. It was like just that thing that was always in the back of my mind, you know. Breastfeeding is like such an easy, convenient thing, you know. As long as you are with him, you always have food for him. You're always ready to go. All you gotta do is whip out your boobie and he's ready to eat. But having to have that nipple shield, like if we went for a walk or something, we live close to both my sister and my mother-in-law, so if we went to go visit them and he got hungry over there, what if I didn't have my nipple shield with me? It was just always in the back of my mind. I always had to have it with me as long as I was with him. And so being able to just freely go and do whatever and not having to worry about it is such a relief. It feels so good, such a weight off of my shoulders. It just really makes me feel so much better about the naturalness of breastfeeding and just being able to always be there for him and not having to rely on something else. Now, with that said, the nipple shield was a godsend for us because Cal would not, could not, did not want to. I don't know if it was him, he couldn't do it, or if he just didn't want to do it, or if it was just really hard for him to get used to it because he had been on the bottle in the NICU. I don't know what it was, but it was totally necessary for us. I truly believe that in my heart, and perhaps I waited too long to start weaning us off of it, but I'm just really glad that we were able to do that, and I am really thankful that we were able to access a nipple shield to begin with, because that was an eye-opening experience in that first week that we were learning everything about one another. Being able to have the nipple shield and breastfeed without having to pump all the stinking time probably saved our breastfeeding relationship. Now, with that being said, weaning off the nipple shield was quite the experience. It took about 2 or 3 weeks for us to fully get off of it. We haven't used it in about a week, maybe a week and a half now, and I did wean him off of daytime feedings. We weren't using it at all during the day, but sometimes at night he would just be really tired and just didn't really feel up to wanting to fight with him and stuff like that to try to get him to latch, because sometimes it would take a while, and so I would, you know, lean on the nipple shield. We would use the nipple shield at night sometimes we would try without it, and so I weaned him off of the daytime at first for about a week or so, and then we started working on weaning off the nighttime feedings, and that was actually kind of a little bit easier to get off of the nighttime feedings once we actually weaned off the daytime feedings. However, I feel like he had like a couple latch regressions there. Like for a couple days we would do really awesome. We wouldn't use the shield for several days, and then all of a sudden he would like freak out and flip out, and totally I'd have to fight with him for like 10 minutes to get him to latch, and so I would go back to the nipple shield for that particular feeding. And then like sometimes he will pause, like he'll eat for maybe 7 to 10 minutes and then he'll unlatch and just pause for a minute, then I'll take the shield off, and he was usually pretty good at just going straight to breast without the shield after that, you know, initial first few minutes of feeding with it. So just the whole like couple of weeks there where we were like trying to get off of the nipple shield was quite the experience, and I'm so glad that I started to do it while I was still on maternity leave, because if I was trying to do that while I was back at work, it probably would have made it way more difficult. So I'm really, really glad that I thought to start taking him off of it while I was still on leave. So I'm also back to work this week. It was my first week back to work, and I'm only working 4 days a week. I have Wednesdays off in the middle of the week to be with Calvin, so that made it a lot easier. My mother-in-law has him Monday and Tuesday, and my mother has him Thursday and Friday, so that also I think really helps, knowing that he's with family, with people that I trust and know, you know, people who, you know, my mom raised me, my mother-in-law raised my husband, so I can trust these people to, you know, take care of a baby. I think that also helped with me going back to work. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I really thought that I would like have a breakdown and cry and freak out and, you know, stress out about not being with him all the time, but it actually went a lot smoother than I was thinking. So another thing from the past month have been growth spurts. Calvin's gone through 2 two that I have written down here that he went through. So at the end of June, like right after his 1 month hit, he had one, and then mid-July he had another one, and they lasted about 2 days. And when he was awake, he needed to eat every single hour. He was hungry every hour on the dot exactly. He was always hungry. And then in the middle of the night, sometimes he'd go, you know, every couple hours. He's usually about every 3 or 4 hours at night when he wants to eat, but during those growth spurts, it was about every 2 to 3. So that was sucky. That was intense, you know. I mean, it only lasts a couple of days, but it feels like it's gonna last forever, and it just totally drains you just having to, you know, sit there with him and wait for him to be hungry again, because, you know, he's gonna nurse for half an hour and he's gonna be hungry in another half hour because he eats every hour, you know. So it really eats up your time. You can't do anything. I don't try to escape or go out the house or anything when he's having those couple of days. So thank goodness they're only a couple of days, but he definitely had a couple of those, and I don't remember experiencing those in the first month. I don't know if I just didn't notice it, or I wasn't keeping track of it, but definitely in the second month we had 2 very definitive growth spurts for 2 days apiece. Just the past week or so, he has been laughing. It's not really like a super defined laugh, but he will just kind of, you know, just laugh out loud for a second at some things. He was smiling at the end of the last month update. I told you guys that, and he smiles all the time these days. He loves his morning diaper change. His changing table is like right in front of a window, and so I think the morning light coming in, he really likes that, and he just gets all smiley and all happy and so excited. He just loves laying on that changing table first thing in the morning when the sun is coming up. That's like my favorite time with him honestly, because he's just so happy and cheerful. You know, we went all night, you know, I had to wake up every few hours and feed you and take care of you, and I only got 5 hours of sleep, and now I have to go to work, but I get to see him being all nice and happy, and it totally makes up for all of the night before. So, something about Calvin, I feel like he's starting to get some kind of schedule, a little bit more regularity as far as his naps and stuff like that, and when he goes to bed and stuff like that, but then he'll throw a day in there that's like totally off and way different than anything you thought he was up to. And so once you think you're getting him figured out, he's just like, woo, we're gonna do whatever I want to do today. I haven't been trying to get him on anything in particular, any kind of schedule. I'm not trying to, I don't know, like only feed him every 2 hours on the dot, and if he's hungry at 1 hour and 45 minutes, I'm gonna make him wait, you know. I'm not doing anything like that by any means. I'm just feeding him when he wants to eat, letting him nap when he seems like he needs a nap, you know, that kind of thing. But also with me going back to work, with my mom and my mother-in-law having him, I'm sure a little bit of a schedule will kind of come about through them as well. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. But I'm not trying to like really stick to anything in particular. He's pretty good about night times. He's usually asleep by 9 o'clock-ish, and then he'll be up sometime around midnight, give or take an hour or so, and then he likes to wake up around 3 or 4 or 5. I have noticed that his eyebrows are starting to grow in darker. They were super light, like you could only really see them if you're like really looking close to see the hairs, but I think they've started to come in a little bit darker now, so he kind of looks like he has some eyebrows. I just thought that was interesting, an interesting little bit about him, how he's developing physically. He loves to watch this little red toy car that we have. I think his aunt got it for him, and I think he likes the reds and oranges colors for some reason. He just like really seems attracted to those things for some reason. But this little red car, like I'll have him on tummy time, just like laying down on the floor on a blanket, and I will like, you know, push the little car across, and he'll look over that way and follow the car. You know, he won't follow it as it's rolling, but once it lands over there, he'll look at it, and I'll push it back the other way, and he'll look at it that way. So that's kind of cool to see him like tracking things and watching things. Justin did put together the walker that we got for him from our baby shower. I think his grandma and grandpa got it for him, I think. But he's been sitting in that, and it seems to be a little tighter in the, you know, actual baby holding area than most walkers that I've seen. Like the one that my mom has, you know, ones that I've seen in the past seem to be like a little bit wider around there, and so little tiny babies just kind of wobble all over the place. But this one's a little bit tighter, so it holds him up pretty well, and he's really good at holding his head up, so he likes to sit in that. He doesn't play with any of the little items there in the front of it, but he does like to sit up there. He loves sitting up. If he is wide awake and happy, he hates laying down. He must be held up to see the world at all times. That's definitely something that helps if he's being a little bit crabby. If you put him up on your shoulder and just let him look at the world, he gets so much better. So I think that's really really about it as far as Calvin is concerned. So let me talk a little bit more about me personally, postpartum. One thing I've been dealing with this past month have been plugged milk ducts. I've had a couple of them just in the past week or so. Last weekend, I felt like I had one in my right breast, and it was just kind of sore feeling, but the soreness went away after a while, so I really didn't think much about it. And then again this week, the middle of this week, I had in the same breast, but kind of a little bit a different location there. And so I went to the doctor and she prescribed me some antibiotics just in case it got infected or whatever, but it is gone today, thank goodness. Just this morning I was feeding Calvin and afterwards I felt it and I didn't feel anything. So I was like, yay, Calvin, he got it out for me. So thank goodness he got it out, because they are just weird. The thing that really concerns me about them, they're uncomfortable if you touch it, but I usually don't feel a lot of pain, like just, you know, being here. It's just if I were to press on it, it kind of feels a little irritated. But it's just, the thing that worries me is just if it's going to get infected, and that's scary because there's like, you know, you read online, you're like mastitis, and it's like lady had to have, you know, sections like operated on and whatnot, and that is scary thinking about that. So I try to pump a lot, I try to get Calvin to eat a lot so I can try and get it cleared and everything, but it's just the idea of having a real infection totally terrifies me. So I do notice that this breast produces a lot more milk than this one, so I wonder if that's part of it. But also I mentioned it to my doctor that we were weaning off of the nipple shield, and she said that might be part of it too, because his latch probably isn't the best all the time, so that's not helping. Plus the fact that this breast has a lot more milk than this one, so he might not be draining it fully every single time. So this one is just more prone to it, I guess, is kind of how she was explaining it to me. But I'm so glad that it's taken care of, and I really, really, really hope that it's not going to be a recurring problem, because honestly, I had my first experience where I was like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to continue breastfeeding forever, you know? I don't know if I can do this. If I'm gonna have a clogged duct every week, I don't know if I can do this. So I'm really glad that it's cleared up finally with Calvin's help. But if it continues, it's gonna drive me nuts. That's gonna be a huge struggle. It's just like when I had it last weekend, I just like had a breakdown, and I was like, it feels like everything is against us in the breastfeeding department. It's like everything that could go wrong is going wrong, and it's just really sucky feeling, and it makes me feel like I can't freaking, you know, breastfeed my baby. I can't provide my baby with food, with the nutrients that he needs, because everything just keeps going wrong as far as breastfeeding is concerned. And I know that there's plenty of ladies out there who have had way worse struggles than that, but I'm just saying, the first time has happened this week where I was like, holy crap, can we really continue to do this? And also, just kind of a TMI thing, I feel like my nipples are finally returning to the color that they were before I was pregnant. They got so dark and huge and just creepy looking while I was pregnant, but they're starting to lighten up again, so thank goodness, because I don't know, they just look so weird. I'm like super duper pale, and you got like these like really dark nipples, and I'm like, what? This is not how I normally look. So they're finally starting to lighten up here 2 months postpartum. So really that's about it for us. I'm gonna try and get Calvin, he is napping right now. I'm gonna try and get him and bring him on here for you guys to see. So if you want to stay tuned, hopefully I'll have a little bit of footage for you guys so you can see Calvin. Hopefully he'll be awake and doing something fun or something. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye! So this is about a week later that I'm filming this. We're about 9.5 weeks. So here's our 2-month-old Calvin. He's all nice and happy and awake. And I just want to let you guys know, at his 2-month appointment, he was 12 pounds, 13 ounces, and 23.5 inches long. So he's growing nice and big.